Hello everyone, I am a new mama of almost a 7-month-old baby. In my last video, I did talk about my baby's sleep milestones for the first 6 months, and a lot of people reached out to me and said the video was very helpful for them. So if you haven't yet, check that out. I'll link that video in the description. In this video, let's talk about the fun part, the social and cognitive development, and the things I've learned, things I've noticed, and things I wish I knew before I became a parent. The first month, spoiler alert, it's gonna be a boring month. Babies at this age, they don't interact much. They can't even see very well in the first few weeks of their life. Even though babies at this age do smile, they are not intentional or social smile. They are so-called reflex smile. So it has nothing to do with you, the parent, the caregiver. It's more about the baby's biological needs to smile. I remember that I was kind of constantly worried that my baby might be boring and I am neglecting my baby. And I was researching online about what kind of toy I should get her. Now looking back, that was really silly of me. Honestly, at this point, I think it'll be more problematic if baby gets overly stimulated. The first month is really all about creating the bond. What really benefited my baby was a lot of skin-to-skin contact and contact naps, just a lot of bonding time. With that said, I think there's one exception, that is tummy time. There's no downside of starting it early. Tummy time is very, very important. This will help baby sit up, hold their head, and eventually crawl and roll and everything. Let's move on to the second month. This is the most exciting month, in my opinion, because this is the first time you get to interact with your baby, and that is just the best feeling. I remember one morning, I lifted her from her crib and she gave me this huge smile, directly looking at me, making a direct eye contact with me. There's no way this was not intentional, not social smile. She was smiling at me. No other way to interpret that. You know, people often say the best or the most unforgettable moment is when the baby is out in this world. For me personally though, the first big smile I got from my daughter, I think it kind of topped that moment because it was interactive. So yeah, it just was one of the best moments. I also noticed that her motor skills got better and she started to pull my hair and, touch me when I'm nursing her. Definitely, this is a time to introduce a lot of toys for babies to play with. Also, baby can see a little better, so I would definitely provide the baby with a picture book. So this is the time to start shopping for toys, and this is a time to consider more playtime. Now, the third month. This is a huge month in terms of social development for baby. This is when we first introduced our baby to our family. Both of my baby's grandparents lived far away from us. My mother had a big surgery during this time, so she could not visit us. And my husband's parents live in Florida, and we decided to invite our family to home around third month. We felt comfortable around third month. We were able to read our baby's cues a little better. As a parent, we need to know the cues that our baby is sending us so we can protect our baby from being overstimulated and from being very stressed out. And I think it was the right thing to do. Sometimes I can tell my baby was getting overstimulated and a little bit stressed out because there were so many new people that she does not know. When my baby had people's faces so close to her, she felt very, very stressed. And then once we noticed that she doesn't do very well in a big party, we had a smaller gathering and my baby was totally fine with fewer people. So if you're a new parent and wondering when is the best time to introduce your baby to your family and relatives and friends, do what's best for you and your baby. That is the most important thing. Also, we thought it would be more beneficial to grandparents as well because At 3rd month, my baby was so much more aware than before. She was more curious. She would start cooing and making a lot of sounds and really interacting with us a lot more. Honestly, I think for any family members, it could have been a little bit boring, to spend time with a baby who does not interact. Oh, and by the way, my baby hit the 100 days, and in my culture, I was born and raised in Korea. We celebrate the first 100 days of a new baby. We took some photos, and I'm glad that we documented that day. So let's move on to the month 4. Now that my baby is very aware, much more aware about the surroundings, and it seems like the overstimulation becomes less of an issue to her. When there are people looking at her and talking to her, she seemed to rather enjoy those moments. So this is when we decided that it is the perfect to go on a vacation, because I had been breastfeeding exclusively or feeding my baby with breast milk only, and I was burned out. I really needed a getaway. Also, she wasn't very mobile. She started to roll over one side once in a while, but she didn't perfect it yet. So it was, again, a good time for parents to go on a vacation. We took our baby to a all-inclusive resort in Caribbean, in Punta Cana in Dominican Republic, just for 5 days, because I was also nervous about going on a longer trip because, what happens if my baby gets sick? I don't know if there are good pediatricians near the resort. The all-inclusive is something that I'm usually not interested in. But now that I have a baby and I'm a new mama, it was the best decision because it made everything so easy and I didn't have to plan anything. So it was nice to be just a cater to. I think my baby also enjoyed the different climate. I live in New York. Around this time, it was January, February. It was miserable. It was dark, gloomy, cold. We couldn't go outside much. So she definitely seemed to enjoy a lot about being outside all the time, and she tried a pool for the first time in her life. I don't know if she enjoyed it a lot, but definitely it was an experience for her. She didn't seem to hate it either. And we took her to a beach, so we had a lot of bonding time. So this was really great. Now, month 5.
Happy 5 months.
The biggest milestone here is that my baby was able to roll over both ways, from the tummy to back and from back to tummy. That was exciting and also exhausting at the same time because my baby was constantly trying to roll over, and I started to feel like, boy, my baby needs me a lot. Like, I have to be there for her all the time because now she started to be mobile and her wake window became significantly longer. So she would just be awake for 2 hours or more. I needed to constantly entertain her because now she's fully aware, super curious about the world, wants to explore. If I hold her to my chest, she would turn around and look outside. So this is when I also start to carry her facing forward, and her motor skills got much better. She was able to hold things better. In other words, I have to watch her constantly because she can get into a trouble easily because now she's more mobile. Yeah, and I also started to feel the pressure of raising my baby as a bilingual. My native language is Korean and English is my second language. Even though Korean is my native language, I do not have a lot of opportunities to speak in Korean anymore because I live in the US. Actually don't have a lot of Korean friends, or my family is in Korea. I don't have any relatives or coworkers. One thing I learned about language development for baby is that babies learn language faster when they overhear adults talking or other people talking with each other. I was told that now the baby will start tune out the language that they hear less and less around 6-month mark. And I was a little bit scared to hear that because my mother lives in Korea and so is my brother. I want my baby to be able to communicate or at least understand my family when they speak in Korean. Of course, there will be translator in the future that you can wear. The Meta glasses now have translator. You can probably communicate. However, just knowing the language from the gut is different than like relying on a computer or an app. What I've been doing around 5 months is that my husband, he goes to the office 3 days a week. I try to speak in Korean to my baby when he's not around, and when he works from home, I speak in English to her. Also, whenever like I change her diaper or I nurse her, I try to speak in Korean. When you are doing a playtime, when you're reading books and singing songs, I use English more than Korean. My goal is to expose my baby to Korean language so she can have Korean as a second language if she decides to learn more as she grows up. So I definitely want to give her that exposure. English is my second language, and if English is your second language, you will understand that there is always this ongoing insecurity when it comes to English. It is something I need to improve constantly. When she grows up, I don't want her to feel the language barrier. So I know that I need to learn as much as my baby needs to learn. And the only way to learn a language is to expose yourself to a situation where you have to speak that language. Since English is my second language, I want to expose myself to a situation where I have to speak English to my daughter so I can push myself to learn and improve my English more. Now, finally, the 6th month. Now my baby can perfectly roll over back and forth constantly. She pulls herself up a lot. She does planks and moving fast. She is not doing the crawl, but she is moving. She's kicking herself constantly, and she can move fast. So this is when I felt like, oh, she needs a bigger room. Actually, right now, my baby is in a bigger room. I want to share her new room in another video. She has this Montessori floor bed, and we're trying to adapt more of the Montessori education. And she had so much energy. Her wake window got even longer. But the good news is now that she can actually move a lot by herself without needing me, she started to play independently for much longer time. So before, I think it was only a couple minutes and she would need me. Now she can play alone for 15-30 minutes without getting bored. So this is when I started to bring a laptop to her room. So whenever she's playing alone and she doesn't need me, I would, go on a computer and do my thing. Occasionally, I'll check on her and I'll give that, bonding moment, smile at her and talk to her a little bit. And she would do that too. So we would have a little bit interaction, and then she would go back to playing alone independently. And this freed up so much more of my time. So I got so excited about having some time to myself. I told you around 5 months, I was a little bit scared when I realized my baby needs me constantly, and I was thinking about sending her to a daycare at some point, and I was doing a research when would be the perfect time to send our baby to a daycare. I also felt like she needed to be more social. It seems like she needs more stimulation. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do? But 6 months came and all of those worries kind of went away, because now that she can play alone, she's more independent. I just provide her with different toys. I switch around toys. As long as she had some toy that she can play with, didn't need attention, didn't seek for attention, I realized, okay, I think who knows what the future holds, but I felt like I do not have to worry about sending her a daycare at least for another 6 months. Around 6 months, my baby started to have this the separation anxiety just a little bit. Whenever she sees a total stranger, she would kind of burst into cry just a little bit, which is very typical. And I think the separation anxiety is the major milestone for this age. That means they know or they can identify when they are faced with something unfamiliar. That means it could be potentially dangerous, not safe. So I think it's more of a milestone than regression. So there you have it. This is what I've experienced with my baby in her first 6 months. And I remember thinking, when things get easier, when do I have more time? When will my baby be able to play independently? So I hope this gives you a quick glimpse at what to expect. In my next video, I'd like to talk about breastfeeding. So I've been exclusively breastfeeding or feeding my baby with breast milk only for the first 6 months. And now I'm in the process of weaning off with a big topic with tons of information. So stay tuned for that video. And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.